Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to return to my motherland of Scotland once again for the first time in what feels like a good long while. Now, we're going to return to a brewery that's featured on the channel quite a few times before. These guys are one of my favourite Scottish breweries at the moment, and if people were to ask me about them, I would say that they're most definitely best known for their different kinds of sour beers, both kind of more modern if you like, and for the more old school things. These guys are pretty damn experimental. But the beer that we're going to have a look at today is a style that I haven't tried from this brewery before. It's also a style that I haven't reviewed all that much on the channel, generally speaking, come to think of it too. But these guys, like I say, carry a very good reputation when it comes to sour beers, and this is supposed to be a very nice one. So needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head to Scotland, like I said. We're going to go to the city of Dundee, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Holy Goat Brewing. So this particular beer is called Astral Destiny. It comes in at 5% ABV, and they're describing this one as a Framboise, if I've pronounced that correctly. But this one is brewed, of course, with some of the lovely local raspberries that they have up in Tayside. So yeah, this should be really quite interesting. This is yet another beer that I picked up from the wonderful Craftissimo in Shungwan, over on Hong Kong Island. They always seem to have a good selection of Holy Goat stuff, and I'm quite glad that we do seem to get Holy Goat and Vault City regularly here in Hong Kong. So yeah, if you do get the chance to check out this brewery, I highly recommend that you do. So yeah, Astral Destiny, 5% Framboise from the wonderful Holy Goat Brewing in Dundee, Scotland. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Holy Goat Brewing before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. Just go in there, use the little search bar, put your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Scottish playlist, which is being added to whenever I get an opportunity these days, but not as often as I would like, because there are breweries from home that I miss. But do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Holy Goat Brewing once again then. So, Holy Goat Brewing, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in the city of Dundee on the River Tay, in kind of eastern Scotland, I guess we could say, and the company was founded back in 2021 by Johnny Horn, who was one of the original co-founders of Vault City Brewing. So Johnny is originally from Wales, and he started experimenting with fermentation when he was about 15, but later on he moved to Edinburgh to study a PhD in archaeology, but he said he ended up reading more brewing textbooks than actually focusing on his archaeology PhD. But he ran the University Brewing Society and also worked at Brew Store in Edinburgh before he got a job brewing part-time at the Hanging Bat on Lothian Road in Edinburgh, which is a little brew pub. But it was there that he began to experiment with different kinds of sour beers and wild ales, starting back in about 2012. But during his time at Hanging Bat, he met Stephen Smith Hay, who was also interested in setting up his own brewery, and they started brewing a little bit together, and they were soon joined by his partner Adele Wilkie, and together they established Vault City Brewing. But initially they didn't think so much about making money, and they set up what they called a glorified home brewing kit as their brewery in Stephen and Adele's kitchen, and they began brewing weekly in about July of 2018. But over the following year they began to visit different beer festivals and spread the word about the Vault City beers, and they went down very, very well. A lot of people were very impressed with what they were doing. So just after this they started brewing their beers at 71 Brewing, who have quite a big facility in Dundee. And they spent about 16 months there in total. And Vault City were in the process of setting up their own brewery in Portobello, but Johnny said he really enjoyed the time in Dundee, and so this kind of prompted him to think about doing his own thing, and so he formed Holy Goat officially in 2021. The basic creative difference, from what I understand, was that Stephen and Adele wanted to kind of have a base beer and sort of play around with that a little bit more, whereas Johnny really wanted to do more different sour beer styles, like, the Flanders Reds, the Framboise, and all these kind of things. He wanted to actually experiment by brewing different stuff rather than having a base beer and sort of messing around with it. So yeah, just a kind of creative difference, if you like. But Johnny says that the new business model allows him to go back to being very experimental, but also maintain profitability. But these guys have gone on to do very, very well over the last few years, and as of September 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced about 85 different kinds of beer, according to Untappd. So yeah, that's everything I can really tell you about Holy Goat Brewing for the moment. As I said, pretty much all of the beers I've had from this brewery have been sour beers. I have had one Imperial Stout, and that was pretty good. And I have to admit, I would be very curious to see what Johnny would do with his other beers, actually, if he was to try some other styles. That would be quite interesting. But yeah, the sour beers he does are absolutely great. So these guys are very much, in my opinion, one of the Scottish breweries that you really need to try if you're interested in the Scottish beer scene. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Holy Goat Brewing for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on and actually have a little look at the beer itself. So I'll just let you have a wee look at the artwork on this one. I thought this was pretty awesome. The skull's obviously gone a bit mental. The tea berries, the tea side berries, I should say. Tea berries, a different thing. These obviously had a little bit too much of the local raspberry. But yeah, as you can see, always with Holy Goat, the artwork is awesome. But this is the Holy Goat Brewing symbol there with the goat. Plain silver bottle cap on this one. This is a 375 milliliter bottle, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, but it tells you a little bit on the side here. I should also point out that this is the 2023 edition of Astral Destiny. But it says, inspired by the traditional Belgian Framboise, we aged our Brettanomyces primary fermented golden base beer on 200 grams per litre of freshly harvested local raspberries for over a month. This base beer was brewed with all locally grown Scottish barley, wheat and oats, and fermented for around 3 months with a mixed culture of yeast and bacteria. Drink young or age, and this will get weirder. Hail the goat. So basically a golden Brettanomyces based sour in this one, with a lot of raspberries added to it. I have to admit, I thought the Framboise was like a lambic style of beer. I didn't really realise it used Brettanomyces, in honesty, although this one might well be a bit different from that. But with Holy Goat, it's going to be good, so you're not that kind of bothered in a sense. But yeah, as I said, 5% ABV. I actually thought something like this would be like 6 or 7, in honesty. But let's get it out into the glass then and see what it's all about. I'm quite curious about this for sure. I think it's the first raspberry beer that I've had from Holy Goat too. We've had raspberry beers from Vault City, right enough. But yeah, first raspberry beer from Holy Goat. And for those of you who don't know, Scotland is quite famous for its berries and currants. Yeah, Scottish raspberries and strawberries are found, a lot of them are grown between Perth and Dundee. If you drive along the road there, you'll see the big strawberry and raspberry farms and things, and it's quite cool to watch, actually. But very good berries, actually. Most of our desserts are based on berries, the Cranachan and things. But yeah, we've got the whole beer out and into the glass now. Tiny little bit of sediment at the bottom of the bottle there, but yeah, you can see that when the beer poured, it had about a 2/3 finger of it had about a 2/3 finger of I would say kind of pink tinted cream coloured head. You can see the remnants of that there if I bring the glass up to the camera. But yeah, you can see the colour of this one is very nice too, but that head has faded away to be pretty much nothing, but you can see there's a sort of island of carbonation just visible in the middle of the glass there, which is quite interesting. You've got the ring just around the edge of it too, with some kind of very small bubbles. But yeah, the colour of this one, could we describe that as a candy apple red? Using my guitar paint colours actually for this, but yeah, candy apple red I think is probably a good descriptor for this one. So remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. And when it comes to sour beers like this, that's one of the big factors. So this kind of candy apple red colour that this beer has is due to the raspberries, of course, for the most part. The other things would make it pretty much, it would probably be a golden colour if it didn't have the raspberries in it. A little bit of natural haze to it, because this one, it did say it contained a little bit of oats and wheat, didn't it? Yeah, it's got wheat and oats in it, so that'll probably account for the haze in this one. And yeah, you've got a couple of bubbles of carbonation and things. There's one or two sticking toward the side of the glass, and as I said, you can see on the surface some of the carbonation just coming up there, because of course these beers do ferment a little bit in the bottle. But yeah, all in all, basically what I would have expected from a Framboise. You know, interestingly, I don't think I've tried a Framboise from a Belgian brewery. So that's something that I maybe need to look into actually, because I know that Timmermans have one, and I've not actually reviewed a Timmermans beer on the channel either. So again, something I need to look into. There's too many beers these days. That's just how it goes. But yeah, we've said everything we really need to about the appearance of this one. Then let's go on and actually have a little look at the aroma of the beer. I'm quite curious about this. So, oh yeah, it smells nice. Nothing really unexpected, but it does smell pretty nice. Yeah, this beer's got a really nice nose to it. And for me, it's a bit nostalgic, of course, because I grew up with the raspberry desserts and things like that. Yeah, as I say, a lot of Scottish desserts are based on berries. And Scottish raspberries, for me, are quite distinctive, because they've got this almost like sharpness on the top of the nose, but they have a real juiciness underneath. Whereas I've tried raspberries from Japan, which obviously are very, very good quality, but they just don't have that sharpness to them that the Scottish ones do. And obviously, you know, you grow the same thing with different soil profiles and different water profiles. It is going to taste different. That's just how it goes. It's food chemistry. But yeah, this one smells really, really nice though. So let's just break it down and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. I could sit and sniff that all day just because it's the nostalgia. It's like when I find a really good old school West Coast IPA, it just brings back everything, and this beer does it in quite a different way. But yeah, it's got the breadiness that you want from, well, I don't know, as I say, I don't know if you want a breadiness from a Framboise, but it's got a lovely kind of breadiness in the backbone. It's got a nice little bit of brighter green component to it, and you've got the big juicy raspberries coming out of this one. But yeah, if we break the aroma of the beer down a little bit, the backbone of this one, you can smell a lovely little bit of like a fresh white bready bread crust. It's kind of like a hedgehog roll or something like that. So yeah, kind of hedgehog roll in there. Nice little touch of woodiness. Yeah, so nice little bit of woodiness to it. A little bit of like Jacob's cream cracker as well. Yeah, so woodiness, Jacob's cream cracker. There's definitely like a little touch of brown bread to this one, so I'm wondering if it's got a wee bit of like Maris Otter or something like that in it, or one of the local Scottish malts. So yeah, there's a wee bit of like a wholemeal brown bready character in this one for sure. On top of that, there's a softer white bready character in there. Okay, so brown bread, white bread. The brown bread's a little bit grainier. You can smell a bit of the wheaty presence in there as well. You can smell it's got a little bit of smoothness, but at the same time it's got that little bit of kind of bitey character to it, but a more dense and heavy white bread for sure. Maybe there's a little bit of the oats in there, and you know, Scottish oats have that little touch of dryness. They have the smoothness, but they have that little touch of dryness to them, and you can pick that up in here for sure. On top of that, of course, you've got wee touches of like Werther's Original, and maybe a little touch of McVitie's Digestive Biscuit for sure. And that'll be coming from some of the barley malt, I'm guessing. So there's a wee touch of that. Some of the booziness will give you that, but as I say, 5%. It's not that pungent, not that prominent. But yeah, the way that all of it kind of pieces together is I think is really, really nice. But if you take the aroma of this one in like quite deeply like this, you will get more and more of that kind of graininess out of it. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers the malt base. Some of like the woody, grainy notes that you're getting out of this will of course be from the Brettanomyces as well. And at the back of the nose, you do get some of that yeasty character. It's like a more farmhousey, kind of slightly brown bready loaf type thing. That's kind of what your yeasty character in this beer is giving you. But let's move on to the fruity side of things in the green component. So when it comes to sour beers, it's always interesting to ask a sour beer brewer what their hopping mentality is. Basically, back in the day, if you go to the Flanders Reds and the Lambics and stuff like this, what the Belgians would do with these beers is that they would add older hops to them that had lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency, because you don't want the bitterness of the beer interfering with the sourness of it, and if you lose a bit of the alpha acid, then it's not quite as bitter, and you'll still get the kind of complexity of flavour that the hops will add, but it won't take away from that sourness. A lot of modern sour beer breweries think of things a little bit differently, because if you add fruit into the beer as an adjunct, it's always going to suppress your green component anyway. So some of them think, yeah, why do we even use hops? Some of them will kind of take that approach to it. But for example, if you add the hops even into a fruity beer, you're still going to get a little bit more complexity to it. So in Sweden, the modern sour beer breweries, such as Elmaliven, Fermenterarna, Duck Pond, these guys, they don't add hops into the beers. But in Scotland, you've got the modern sour beer breweries like Holy Goat and Vault City, who will add hops into the beers. So yeah, it just kind of depends what you want to do. So yeah, with this beer, I'm pretty sure there are some hops in this one, because the green component is quite obvious in a sense. So you've got a little touch of earthiness to it, and a little bit of like a herbally note, but definitely at the front of the nose you get more floral aromaticity. You do get some grassiness in there. I want to say it's maybe like a German noble hop that's in this one, Hallertauer Tettnang, something like that. Not too high in alpha acid. At most it would be Hercules, which is like 5.5% alpha acid. So yeah, this is quite interesting in that regard. But yeah, on the fruity side of things, of course, the raspberries really come to the fore there in the top of the nose at the front. But you also have like a few other things underneath. You've got some really nice kind of juicy, almost like strawberry type notes underneath. You've got the kind of candied raspberry characters coming out of this one as well. So yeah, there are wee elements of like maybe blackcurrant, strawberry and stuff underneath, but your focus is of course on the raspberries. But all in all, the aroma of this beer is very, very nice. So just take a little bit of time to appreciate that, I guess we can say, before you actually get stuck into this beer. But I do think now is the time to have a taste of this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the Astral Destiny, a 5% Framboise inspired sour beer of some description. I'm not sure if we can call it a real Framboise. I need to research the style a little bit more, and honestly don't know it that well. But yeah, this one comes to you from the wonderful Holy Goat Brewing in Dundee, Tayside, Scotland. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Ooh, tell you something. That's got a hell of an impact to it. Yeah, when you take that in, just, behind the front of your tongue, you're going to get just a little bit, well, not just a little bit, you're going to get quite a bit of that sharpness from the raspberries. It comes in right behind the front of the front tip of the tongue, and it just spreads along the back. It's really, really nice. Yeah, very, very good stuff from Holy Goat here. Damn. Ooh, but that has a hell of an impact. Let's take a second sip and see. Oh yeah, this is what I was meaning. Scottish raspberries are very, very tart, and it, you know, I'm trying this beer now. This is one of the most sour beers I think I've had. One of the most tart beers that I've had in quite a wee while. But I know, you know, the Holy Goat ones. We've had a couple of the other ones recently. Both I think they've been Flanders Reds and stuff like this, and the Starhammer was the last one too. It just kind of goes to show you, because usually with the Holy Goat beers they'll come in and they will have quite a bit of an impact, but they mellow out nicely. And for me, that's always the thing. That's the sign of a good sour beer. This one, I'm just surprised at the impact that these raspberries are having. But this is lovely. I like this. But just be aware, if you're not used to Scottish raspberries, this will be a kind of, this one will get you going in a sense. It has got a little bit of oomph to it. Yeah, this is good. This is very good. And even me, I've not had my Scottish raspberries in about a year or so now, and that's still a bit of a surprise to me. So just be aware with this one. That's probably why it's got the skull on it. That's maybe one of the reasons. But this is great. Big thumbs up to Holy Goat once again. Let's do as we always do, and we'll break the beer down and describe it for you more in depth. So, for me, the backbone of this beer, you go to that middle third of your palate, it has like an almost like woody backbone, like it's got a kind of dry woody backbone to it, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, this lovely kind of dry woody backbone. You've got some kind of dry woody backbone for sure. Then on top of that, you get a wee bit more of like the kind of typical white bready bread crust. Although that's one thing I would say about this one in comparison with the aroma. This beer's a lot more kind of brown bready than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought there was going to be a good little bit of white bread in this one, but no, it's really more kind of brown bready. So yeah, you've got that woody backbone to this one. Then you've got a kind of like brown bready hedgehog roll bread crust. Then a distinctive layer of like quite a grainy wholemeal brown bread. Above that, in fairness, you maybe do get a slightly smaller layer of there's a slightly smaller layer of I would say like just like a kind of smoother white bread in there. Then you can feel the wheat above that. There's like another dense layer of white bread. So yeah, you have got a very layered character coming out of this one. So yeah, that's really nice in this particular beer. So yeah, I do like that with them. Yeah, I do quite like that with this one. On top of the kind of more dense wheaty white bready layer, you can feel there is a little bit of that oaty smoothness in there. So if you go down the middle line of your tongue there, you can feel there's like a little bit of almost creaminess to this beer. And then as you push out toward the edges, if you push out toward the edges of it, there's a little bit more of a like a kind of oaty dryness, which I think is nice too. But definitely in the dead centre of your palate, you've got a wee bit of that Wardo's Original butter candy butterscotch, and then a wee bit of biscuit too. You've got a little bit of that McVitie's digestive biscuit coming out of this one. So yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is really nice. Yeah. Yeah, the way that goes together is the malty base in this one is quite nice. It's quite distinctively Scottish almost too, because it reminds me of the does remind me of the more kind of grainy aspects of some of the bread there. But I think that's everything we need to say about the middle third of the palate. But as I say, there's just a tiny little circle in the middle of your palate. It's a little bit of Werther's Original, then a wee smattering of McVitie's Digestive Biscuit around the edge, and that is of course the alcohol from the beer. So yeah, the way that goes together for me is really nice. Yeah, so the yeah, let's go to the back third of the palate then. So remember, generally speaking, sweeter flavours come out further forward, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. And the other thing I would say is that the back third of your palate is going to give you similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just at different intensities, and then you've got the yeasty character on top. So the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of bready build-up in there, the kind of brown bread in the base and the white bread on top, and a wee bit of the kind of wheatiness in there. But yeah, the base of the back third of your palate, you've got the nice woody character in there, which is, yeah, you've got the nice kind of woody dryness underneath. You've got a little bit of the woody dryness. You've got the bread crust, the brown bready layers there, which is a lot taller, lighter, and more airy. Then above that, you have the above that you start to get the white bready layer, which again is a lot taller, lighter, and more airy. And then yeah, you can feel the wheaty character just sitting on top of it as well. So yeah, the wheaty side of things has a bit of bite on the back 30 palate. Then it's all about the yeasty character. So let's have a wee look at the yeasty side of things. Right, so the yeasty side for me, at its core, the yeasty side of this beer actually feels a little bit more white bready, I would say. And as you move around the edge of it, it's a little bit more kind of brown bready and grainy. And then yeah, it's a bit more kind of almost crackery around the very edge of it. So the yeasty character in this one, I actually think it takes a bit of a back seat to the sort of woody bread crusty underlining of the malt base, which is interesting. I don't find this beer to be too yeast forward in a sense. A lot of the funk actually is in the middle of the palate for me with this beer. So yeah, this one's got a bit of a different vibe to it. But definitely, yeah, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, the way that goes together is really, really nice. So yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, and the fruity side of things, like I said, I'm pretty sure this beer does have a little bit of hop in it. But obviously it's not going to blow the head off you from that perspective. But yeah, in the back corners of the palate, you can feel there's a nice little touch of earthiness in there. And as you move further forward, it's very slightly, it's very slightly kind of woody. And then, yeah, so a little bit earthy, a little bit woody. And as you move further forward on that, nice little bit of kind of floral aromaticity. And then round the front curve of that, it's got a little bit of a more kind of, it's got a little bit of a more kind of grassy character to it. So yeah, the way that goes together is really quite nice. Yeah, you can feel that the raspberries are kind of pushing back against that though, and that's, like I said, when you add fruit into beer as an adjunct, it's always going to suppress your green component a little bit. But let's look at the front third of your palate. So yeah, for me, the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, again, you get that little bit of bready build up in there, the kind of brown bread in the base, the white bread in the middle, and the wheat on top. And yeah, the base, pardon me, the base of that front third of your palate, it is more of like a white bready bread crust there, or the wood kind of character I was picking up is very, very smooth. So you've got the woody character, the kind of brown bread in the base, then you have the on top of that, you then have a little bit of kind of sweeter brown bread, and then you can feel the wheat and the oat just smoothing that. And then above that, you get that nice little oily bubble where the fruity esters from the hops come out, and then it's just engulfed by the raspberries. So let's just have a wee look at that then. So yeah, the estery fruits are sort of blackcurranty, maybe strawberry-like. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of blackcurrant, bit of strawberry, but then of course the raspberry comes on top of that. So, like I said, just behind that front tip of the tongue, you can feel the real sharpness of the raspberry coming out of this beer, which is really, really nice. So yeah, real kind of sharp raspberry characters to this one, which I do like. And yeah, the raspberry, the juiciness, the potency of that raspberry lingers for a wee while, and you can feel it just spreading around the sides of the palate there too, which is really, really nice. But yeah, I really like how that one, just how everything kind of pieces together in this particular beer. So yeah, it's good. It's actually quite good. But I don't know if there's much else we really need to say about this one. As I say, a little bit of blackcurrant, a little bit of kind of strawberry underneath, then you've got the raspberries kind of sitting on top with this one, and then yeah, the big sort of sharpness in there. So yeah, I really like how this one goes together. It gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, I like that about this beer. It's nice. So yeah, that one is pretty damn good actually. So yeah, this beer is really, really nice. As I say, the thing that kind of surprised me about it was two things: the fact that it's a little bit more brown bready, and the fact just the sharpness of the Scottish raspberries is something that I'd kind of forgotten about. But this one might be very sharp in comparison. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this, but it's a lovely, lovely beer. Let's round off this review then with a wee quick look at the mouthfeel. For me, mid-bodied beer, it's kind of what you would expect if you know the Holy Goat stuff, but yeah, it's kind of right in the mid-range, I would say. You know, quite a smooth mouthfeel underneath the kind of the sourness. It's got quite a hell of an impact to it, this one. So a big bit of impact sourness there, but underneath a kind of smoothness and a wee touch of dryness into the aftertaste. The malty character, like we said, a bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, and very slightly sweet on top. IBU wise, 10ish IBUs. Then yeah, you've got all the kind of fruity notes. You've got all the fruity notes just sitting on top of that. A big sourness coming out of this one, as I say, as well. But yeah, I don't think we need to say too much more about this one. This is a lovely, lovely beer, and I'm certainly going to enjoy drinking the rest of this one. So massive thumbs up to the wonderful Holy Goat again. Yeah, this was the Astral Destiny, a Framboise inspired raspberry sour beer from the wonderful Holy Goat Brewing in Dundee, Tayside, Scotland. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Holy Goat Brewing as well, and we will no doubt continue to return to these guys over the next wee while, because I do enjoy the stuff. But make sure you guys check them out as well. In the meantime, check out my social media, check out their social media, try some of their beers, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Slàinte just now.